This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How are we doing today on this Wednesday, this bye-week Wednesday? Hope you and yours are having a good time, having a good day. Thanks, everybody, for watching us on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com. You're checking us out on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, so we appreciate everybody who is subscribed to us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel. You can see all of our behind-the-scenes coverage from Wisconsin up this past weekend, and you can see the press conferences from Monday, Coach Kalen DeBoer, Coach Kane Womack, and Coach Nick Sheridan, and much, much more right there on the BamaCentral YouTube channel. We're going to have a lot of fun today on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. We encourage you to join us on my own social media machines at Joe Gaither6. You can leave me a comment, a question, a query, or complaint right there, or you can subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or on Amazon. The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. We are proudly presented by Derek Daniel, State Farm Insurance, and Purple Turtle Roofing, as well as Druid City Music Hall. So we appreciate everybody who has joined the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, sponsoring the program. We'll tell you a little bit more about them in just a moment. But what are we going to talk about today on the show? Today we're going to talk about Ryan Williams. Unbelievable what the 17-year-old has done in 3 college games. But we're going to talk about him returning punts, whether that's a good thing, whether that's something you want to see him continue to do. We're going to talk about Ryan Williams just a little bit. We are going to talk about Alabama's injury situation, as we're right here in a bye week, and Alabama's got a couple of guys that are dinged up. So we're going to talk about Alabama's injury situation. We'll talk specifically about Yanzi Pierre, Quay Russaw, and the Wolf position. We'll touch on Greg Byrne and him giving a game ball out to Kalen DeBoer. We'll talk about Kalen DeBoer and talking about Alabama's offense today on the SEC Coaches Teleconference. I asked Coach Kalen DeBoer how much more of the offense, or how much of the offense we have seen so far, and he gave a pretty interesting answer, at least to me. And then we will finish it up with 2 NFL topics, quarterback related. The Miami Dolphins putting Tua Tagovailoa on injured reserve, and Bryce Young, Carolina Panthers putting Bryce Young on the bench. So we'll talk about all that and more today. That'll be the plan. We invite you to jump in and join us on the comments section at Joe Gaither6 on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you want to get in and talk about Ryan Williams or which Alabama injury concerns you the most, that's the plan today. But we need to tell you about our friend Derek Daniel at State Farm. You can call him today at 205-758-3391 for all of your insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel and State Farm is there. You want a local agent, somebody who understands the area, who understands what you're going through, who might have gone through it himself before. Derek Daniel is that guy right there on Highway 69 North. You can visit him just off McFarland Boulevard right here in Northport, past the Tiger Rock on the left. He's got a great team in there, Red, Reese, and Victoria. They'll be happy to walk you through the insurance, make it very simple, make it easy for you to understand. I know I don't really like insurance myself. Derek and his team, they love it, so they will make it easy for you. Call them at 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel and State Farm is there. All right, so let's get right into it. Let's take it topic by topic, just as I laid out on the outline. Let's start with our man Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams, what an amazing first 3 games. This young man has had 10 receptions, 285 yards, and 4 touchdowns. A touchdown in every single game this year, 2 obviously in the Western Kentucky game. So Ryan Williams has been electric. Everybody was walking into the year thinking, what's going to be the wide receiver situation? Isaiah Bond is transferred out. You've lost Jermaine Burton to the NFL draft. Oh, my goodness, what's it going to be? Who is Jeremy Renard going to be able to come in here and be that guy? And Jeremy's done fine. I thought that he would be much more the wide receiver 1 than he's been over the first couple of weeks. But Ryan Williams has clearly, by far and away, been the guy. I thought Ryan Williams would probably be the 3rd or the 4th guy on the offense this year, just due to the age and inexperience and maybe just the time that it takes to assimilate to college football. But no, 17 years old. The man should be a high school senior. He should be playing for the Saraland Spartans, going for his third straight Alabama Mr. Football Award. But no, he's playing right here in Tuscaloosa. And he's been electric. He's been a lot of fun. And he's really been a lot of fun to cover. I'm enjoying his little podcast with Jalen Mbakwe that they've got started and kind of falling in love. Ryan has been unique in the sense that he's been just on the forefront enough to where I think that he's been in the spotlight for sure. You can easily say that. But he also hasn't been that flashy. He hasn't been giving me the look at knees. He hasn't been really, I don't really think that, what am I trying to say? I don't really think that he's let the attention go to his head. I think that he's still the same guy he was maybe 6 months ago when he was a senior in high school at Saraland, a junior in high school at Saraland. And he obviously had all the attention, the Mr. Footballs and kind of opportunities for NIL stuff kind of floating out there for him. Everybody's been all over Ryan Williams as far as, okay, he's a superstar. And he is. He's proven that through 3 games. Absolutely unbelievable the way that he's been able to run routes, his body control. I think that might be the most impressive thing about him. The speed jumps off the page, but his body control through 3 games in college football has been very impressive. All right, so this segment, this opener is not about praising Ryan Williams and, oh my gosh, how amazing is he? Because, look, there's still a long way to go. We'll see what he ends up doing, but the start has been good. This segment, the opener, has been to take you back into the fourth quarter at Camp Randall Stadium on Saturday. Alabama's up 35-10. Right? You got a 25-point lead. You have been blowing the doors off Wisconsin. You've already seen jump around. Everything is basically all over but the crying. And Alabama's defense has forced another punting situation. And what ends up happening? Well, Ryan Williams comes out to return the punts. Jalen Mbakwe had been returning the punts most of the day. And obviously, you guys all know that Cole Adams was returning punts before his injury, his arm injury that occurred in the South Florida game. And we'll see if Cole Adams gets back into action. We'll talk about injuries here in just a minute. But Jalen Mbakwe is not on the field. They sub Ryan Williams in to return punts. And you inevitably get on the Twitter machine and you see people, oh, why do we have Ryan Williams out there? Why are we risking Ryan Williams on punt return? This, that, and the other. This is not good. We need to have somebody else returning the punts. It's not worth the risk, Coach. Well, Coach Kalen DeBoer, we asked him on Monday. I don't think I was the one who asked him. I think it was Nick Kelly of AL.com, not of Tuscaloosa News anymore. AL.com's Nick Kelly asking him about Graham Nicholson's missed kick and asking about Ryan Williams. And more or less, Kalen DeBoer saying we just wanted him to get the 1 rep. We thought the experience was valuable. We want to see him out there. We want to see as many guys feel comfortable returning punts. And obviously his skill set. Come on, guys. He's got an electric skill set. What did he do with the punt? He caught it. He gave you 20-ish, 21, 22 yards, 19 yards, 20-yard return on the official stat sheet. But he puts you into Wisconsin territory, and it's a 1-play touchdown to Josh Cuevas, and that basically Cuevas, and that ends the first team offense's day, 42-10. The next time you see Alabama out there, any Alabama offensive players out there is all backups, Ty Simpson and the like. So look, Ryan Williams, returning punts. What do you think about it? You got Georgia coming into town in 2 weeks, and we've got the SEC schedule basically lined up right after that. You're done with the preseason. Yeah, Georgia, Vanderbilt. You've got basically everybody getting rolling. South Carolina is going to be on the schedule. Missouri. It's going to get tough. And Ryan Williams is clearly your best receiver, or at least has been your most productive receiver. If there are better receivers on the roster right now, Jeremy Bernard, I think he's pretty dang good. I do think he's pretty good, and I do think Kobe Prentice is a good receiver. But what we have seen through 3 weeks, Ryan Williams is it. He's the best receiver on this roster. And so do you risk him out there? We heard from Kalen DeBoer saying that Jeremy Bernard has worked really hard at punt returning as well at his previous stop at Washington and here in Tuscaloosa. And so right here, right now, you're going into the Georgia game, and we're going to talk about Cole Adams and his health, and you wonder, who should be returning the punts? Or is it even worth it to put Ryan out there? Ryan looked so smooth. returning the punt this past Saturday against Wisconsin, but it was already in a blowout. You didn't need to put him out there. And you got people saying, oh, they're going to hurt him. He's going to get hurt on punt return. And many people think back to Eddie Jackson. I mean, it goes back to Eddie Jackson, Texas A&M. He's returning a punt in a game that's already in hand, and he breaks his leg, misses the rest of the year, and Alabama loses a national championship game to Clemson. And so it's like, oh, man, is it worth the risk? Is it worth the risk putting one of your better players in punt return? I would contend that these guys can get hurt anytime that they're on the field. So, okay, let's take the injury risk off of it. Because whether Ryan Williams is playing wide receiver, taking an end around, whether he is taking a reverse, whether he's returning kicks, whether he's returning punts, anytime he's got the football in his hands, he's going to be subject to what? Being tackled. And when you are being tackled, that's boom. You're raising the injury factor. You're raising the risk. And so Ryan out there on Saturday, did it bother me? I did think it was interesting in the moment. I thought, oh, here we go. Maybe we're going to see a home run. I turned to Katie Wyndham and I turned to Hunter DeCiver and I said, ooh, touchdown. Here we go right here. Because I just think anytime the man touches the football, it's bound to be an electric play. And it was. I mean, it wasn't SportsCenter top 10 return. It was only a 20-yard return, but he weaved his way through the Wisconsin coverage unit until they corralled him for that tackle. What I think about Ryan is obviously the body control we just mentioned and the speed and athleticism, but Ryan has so far through 3 games, and granted, it's just 3 games as a 17-year-old. This can still change. But so far through 3 games in college football, what I have noticed is Ryan does a good job of avoiding hits. He's taken some hits a little bit, but he's also avoided hits. He's, trying to yank that ankle out of tackles because a lot of these times he's leaving these defenders with just an ankle to grab. So I think that Ryan has been a lot of fun to watch. But I don't have any problem with Kalen DeBoer putting him back there to return punts because look, you're still early. We're still trying to figure out what the best formula is for this team. And that's one of the reasons I think I would caution you on making many judgments on this team. I think you still got a lot of room to kind of experiment. And look, I'm going to throw another variable in here. My man, Tyler White, you've heard him on here before. Let's let a guy like Emmanuel Henderson get back there. He's shown playmaking ability early against Wisconsin. He's too talented to not get somehow involved in the offense. Get somehow involved. Yes, I think that's a really good suggestion. We saw Emmanuel Henderson with the ball in his hands a couple of times on Saturday, really running over defenders and running physically. And we know he came to Tuscaloosa as a running back and known as a really, really fast guy. I don't have any problem with Ryan Williams being out there, but I think Tyler brings up a good point. There are other guys who can do that job. There are. Emmanuel Henderson can do that. If Cole Adams is the first punt returner, and he did look dangerous in his game and a half doing it before he got hurt, if he's your first punt returner and he's hurt, okay, fine. But there are other guys other than Ryan Williams that could do a really good job. I guess if you want to play the injury factor, you don't want to put Jeremy Bernard out there. You don't want to put Ryan Williams out there. We saw Jalen Mbakwe do it pretty much most of the day Saturday during the critical returns, during the time where the game was pretty much was still in balance. And so I think Tyler presents a good suggestion with Emmanuel Henderson. There are other guys, but I didn't have any issue. I didn't sit up there on Saturday thinking, oh, that's a big mistake. Oh, that's not worth the risk. Because look, if it's a guy like Emmanuel Henderson, and I do think it is a guy like Ryan Williams, these guys can take it to the house. These guys are electric. And so I think there's a little bit of an element of trying to still enhance momentum. And as a freshman for Ryan Williams, I'm with you, Coach DeBoer. The experience is worth it. The experience is valuable. Now he can say, I have returned a punt on the road. And if it ends up that he needs to do it later on in the year because of injury or because of other circumstances, he has at least 1 rep under his belt. So I didn't have a problem on Saturday with Ryan Williams returning punts, but I do think that my man Tyler White has a good suggestion that Emmanuel Henderson might be better suited for those duties, and maybe he's not as important to the offense as Ryan Williams is. All right, let's keep it going. We're going to continue our topic, and let's talk about injuries because you're 3 games in. We are out on a bye week Wednesday. There's going to be a lot of interesting games this Saturday. I'm going to be looking forward to Tennessee and Oklahoma in particularly. But there's going to be four ranked games that I see this coming up Saturday, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But I'll just be honest with you. I'm happy that Alabama's on a bye week. Nice little. I'm going to enjoy the double bye week this year. I know that some people are, why we got 2 bye weeks? I'm just gonna enjoy Saturday, where not having to work near as much, and I'll enjoy some football and clean up around the house. And I hope that you guys enjoy your family. I know there's going to be a lot of Georgia fans and Alabama fans' weddings going on this weekend. Everybody's sandwiching them in on the bye week. So if you're going to a wedding, I hope you have a good time and enjoy the bye week. But you got injuries for Alabama now. And really, everybody's focused on this Georgia game that's coming up in 10 days from now or so, 12 days from now or so. We heard the SEC coaches teleconference, both Kalen DeBoer. Kirby definitely lied. Kirby did not. Kirby said, we haven't started on Alabama yet. Coach DeBoer at least said that the staff has started on Alabama. The players will start on Alabama tomorrow. The guys have been enjoying their bye week as well with some off time. But in 10 days, 12 days, 13 days, what are we doing in Tuscaloosa, Georgia, and Alabama? Who's going to be available? Let's start running down the list and start talking about some of these guys who are hurt for Alabama. You got Cole Adams still with the arm injury. And we're really just going to go chronologically. I think that Caden Proctor and Elijah Pritchett both going to be good to go. Both got out of the Wisconsin game without any setbacks to what they were dealing with. Okay, Cole Adams hurt in the South Florida game, hurt his arm, a little dislocated elbow kind of thing, maybe hyperextended elbow. Is probably closer to what actually happened, and missed the game against Wisconsin, gets the bye week this week. I think it's going to be really still challenging for Cole Adams to be active against Georgia. I think that there's a chance for it that he's active, but if I were a betting man, I would bet that obviously that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get the first SEC coaches report next week from Coach DeBoer, and I think that Cole Adams will be on that doubtful train. Jeremiah Alexander, I guess he was technically the first. You're thinking about the shoulder issue with Jeremiah Alexander. I think that he will probably be close by the time the Georgia game rolls around. Now he's not a key contributor as a third or fourth or fifth. Oh, what is he? 4 or 5 inside linebacker, somewhere in that range. So he's not going to be a huge loss for Alabama, but I don't expect him either to be active for Georgia. Now, that's kind of the game. That's kind of the injuries that we knew about going into the Wisconsin game. You kind of had a tough game up there at Camp Randall Stadium from the injury perspective, just as far as who got injured and what necessarily happened. Quay Russaw sounded like he came into the game with a little bit of an ankle injury. That same leg. Hey, what you crying for, dog? I don't know what the dog's crying for. Maybe she's crying over all these young men who are hurt. Quay Russaw comes into the game with a little bit of it sounded like he came into a game with a little bit of an ankle injury. And that same leg was the leg that got kind of friendly fire, DeVonta Smith friendly fire rolled up on. And it sounds like knee and ankle are both injured for Quay Russaw. But good news. Doesn't sound like it's an ACL. Doesn't sound like there's a major tear. Sounds like it might be ligament sprain. Sounds like it's going to be shorter term. I don't expect you to see Quay Russaw against Georgia, but I would expect to see it back this season. I think somewhere between the 3 and 6 weeks or so, we'll see him out rehabbing and resting the knee, resting the ankle, giving that some time to giving those ligaments some time to recover. And I do think he will be back for Alabama at some point this season, but not against the Georgia Bulldogs. So he's really the biggest contributor, right? You're not really going to be missing Jeremiah Alexander so much, and you can replace Cole Adams on punt return, and you can replace Cole Adams in the offense. You got a lot of wide receivers waiting to get those repetitions. But Quay Russaw is your biggest injury, right, for this Georgia matchup. And you think about who's going to be replacing Quay Russaw. It's Quandarius Robinson, and it's Yanzi Pierre. And these guys, I mean, Quandarius Robinson, we've talked about it. We talked about him a good deal through the offseason and in fall camp about, is he going to be a capable Wolf? Is he going to be a starter? And then boom, you roll out week number 1 and he's not the starter. The graduate level senior, the graduate student who's back for his super senior year is not the starter. Oh, he's going to be the guy who comes in on specialized passing downs. And look, Quandarius Robinson, I mean, for a guy who's not the starter, 3 sacks in 3 games. What's better? You can't get any better than that. 3 sacks in 3 games off the edge from the Wolf. You're doing it right there. So there is a little bit of, okay, you got a guy who's might be ready to take on full time, or maybe ready to step into a larger role in Quandarius Robinson. The strip sack this past weekend against Wisconsin, it was gorgeous. Teaching tape. It was beautiful. Keeping the outside arm threes, rushing around the Wisconsin tackle, and just swiping the ball out of Braden Locke's hand. Just taking it out of Braden Locke's hands. Beautiful, beautiful play for Quandarius Robinson for his 3rd sack in 3 games. So he's going to be the first one up, replacing Quay Russaw. But I would contend that maybe Kane Womack wants to keep Quandarius Robinson in this specialized pass rushing role. Maybe he's looking for a guy who can be that 2 to 3 down Wolf. And maybe it's not Quandarius Robinson. Maybe it's Yanzi Pierre. Yanzi Pierre comes into the game, and he was into the game in the first half against Wisconsin. 5-star redshirt freshman out of Eufaula, out of Alabama, right? And he comes into the game in the first half, gets some rotational action, and then Quay Russaw goes out, and you're seeing more Yanzi Pierre. You're seeing Quandarius Robinson and Yanzi Pierre do a lot of rotating in the second half. And so I would expect this coming up in 10 days, this next game, for Yanzi Pierre to be under or to get a lot of opportunity. We'll put it that way, to get a lot of opportunity at the Wolf, because I don't think that Quay Russaw is going to be available. And you look at Quandarius Robinson, he might be better suited. As just that pass rushing specialist. You still got Keanu Coate, but I think that there's still a little bit of a question mark of what Keanu Coate really is. Is he just a pass rushing specialist, or is he able to do all the things at the Wolf position? They were asking Quay Russaw to play a lot of inside linebacker as well, kind of float and be that versatile guy. Sometimes I'm playing inside linebacker like it's a 3-3-5, right? And sometimes I'm playing edge rusher like it's a 4-2-5. And so you got a lot of versatility in this Wolf position. And I'm wondering if Quay Russaw is able to fulfill that versatility like Quay Russaw was able to do. I think Quay Russaw was on track and on pace to have a great season, to have a really impactful season. Now, I think that he will be, like I said, I think he's going to come back in 3 to 6 weeks. That's just my guess. That's not intel. That's just kind of what I've got when in putting the piece together from what I've heard. Obviously, the official word from the athletic department is we'll see day to day, still evaluating. I think that you're probably looking at about a 3 to 6 week process before Quay Russaw gets back into action. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more Yanzi Pierre. Number 42, I thought that he played pretty well in his action this past weekend at Wisconsin. He has, 3 total tackles on the year, and 2 of them coming this past weekend. He got himself a pass breakup as well on Braden Locke. So I think that he might be one to watch as somebody to keep an eye on with his traits. If you get in the experience now with the injury with Quay Russaw, you line up some of these traits with experience, and you start to get him comfortable. I think he might be a hell of a player for Alabama in the future. What do we got? 2 more injuries, right? 2 more injuries to address. One much more important than the other. Malachi Moore in the fourth quarter. Was that a part of it? No. In the third quarter, it was a part of the 18-play drive, the multiple fourth down conversions, Wisconsin's only touchdown drive. Down there in the goal line, in shadow of the Alabama goal line, Alabama's defending, and Alabama calls a safety blitz off the edge. And I think, off the top of my head, I think they had the Husky coming off the other side as well. Anyways, Braden Locke hands the ball off. I think it was to Tyree Walker, the Wisconsin running back at that point. And both Devontae Smith and Malachi Moore just torpedo into the backfield. Bam, head-to-head contact. You all remember it. And Malachi Moore is out with a head injury. I think that Malachi is going to be playing against Georgia. I don't really have any doubt about it. I think that it was definitely a loss for the Alabama defense, and thankfully it was later in the game, and everything was pretty much in hand at that point. But if you don't have Malachi Moore on Saturday against Georgia, I'm sorry. Look, I think it's going to be a great game, but if you don't have Malachi Moore on Saturday against Georgia, you're going to lose. Alabama's going to lose. That's kind of how important I think he is to this Alabama defense. Not only to the defense as far as putting the secondary in the right coverage, is dissecting the secondary, communicating with Deontay Lawson, communicating with Keon Sapp, communicating with the corners, and Devontae Smith. I think he's a great communicator. Coach Saban said so many times last year. And I just think he's a hell of a player. Now, you back behind Malachi Moore, you're thinking about, okay, does Devontae Smith move into there? Do you start shuffling around who's playing Husky? Is it Devontae Smith and Malachi Moore's place? You move Red Morgan in to play Husky. Okay, now you have another true freshman on the field if Red Morgan is that guy. What do you do? You put King Mack or Cameron Howard there. The question marks just become uncomfortable if Malachi Moore is not available in 10, 12 days against the Georgia Bulldogs. I think that becomes your most important, because Yancey Pierre, Quindarius Robinson, Keanu Coate, they can fill in for Quay Russaw, and you can get what you need out of that position. You can kind of play down and distance, and you can play situational football with that position. But the captain of your defense, I think that Malachi Moore is extremely important to Alabama's hopes to winning against the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, that being said, you got the bye week. You got plenty of time. And I think that he's going to be A-okay, and I think he's going to play. But that's what's the main injury. That's the number one injury to monitor over the next 12 to 13 days. Does Malachi Moore get through concussion protocol in a timely fashion? You're not going to want him. You're not going to want him cleared on next Friday afternoon. You're not. Now, you don't want to play around with head injuries, ask Tua Tagovailoa, but you don't want him cleared on Saturday morning when you wake up, next Saturday morning, right? The day of the Georgia game. You want him cleared this coming up Saturday. You want him to clear this coming up Sunday. Really, you wanted him cleared today, but I don't know that that's quite as. I think that might be a little too soon now. And again, they're not even practicing today. They're practicing tomorrow. So if you can get him cleared for tomorrow, great. You're feeling good about things. You want Malachi cleared from concussion protocol, from the head injury, obviously for his own sake as a human being, but for what he means for this Alabama defense. Now, the last injury that's on our plate today is Richard Young. Richard Young with seemingly a lower leg injury. I think he might be dealing with a significant knee injury. You listen to Coach Kalen DeBoer on Monday, and Coach DeBoer gave us the update on Cole Adams. He gave us the update on Quay Russaw. He gave us the update on Malachi Moore. And what did he do? Had a little choke-up moment. Had a little, who was the fourth? Richard Young? Yeah. And you read behind the lines of what he was kind of saying. There's going to be more evaluation with Richard Young. And, maybe later in the week we'll know more. And that tells me he's got some swelling going on. Ooh, that was a Monday update. This is Wednesday. Maybe Alabama knows more by this point. But his Monday answer on Richard Young, we're going to evaluate later in the week. We don't know yet. His kind of squirreliness behind the podium. I think he's dealing with something that might be serious. Now, I hope it's not. I will gladly say that I'm wrong if that's the case. I will gladly own up to incorrect information. But my hunch, I want to make it clear that it's a hunch, is that Richard Young is dealing with probably a significant injury, and and Alabama fans probably will not see him the rest of the year. So, with that being said, you're still comfortable in the running back room. You are with Justice Haynes and Jam Miller, and you're comfortable. You got Kevin Riley and the kid Daniel Hill. Thank you, Daniel Hill, the young man from Mississippi. So you got 4 competent running backs. But look, you never want anybody to have major injuries, and I think that Richard Young was a quality running back, and I think that you would have used him throughout the rest of the year as that third guy as you get later into the year. All right, so I got a couple more topics on the day, and I appreciate everybody who's watching us on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, on the BamaCentral YouTube channel right here on BamaCentral.com, your home for the Alabama Crimson Tide on SI. I want to talk about Greg Byrne. I want to talk about Kalen DeBoer's offense, and I want to do two NFL topics as they relate to Alabama quarterbacks. Before we do that, though, we want to tell you about our friends at Purple Turtle Roofing. They're the most reliable residential roof replacement company in Alabama and Mississippi. Whether it's addressing leaks, storm damage, or general wear and tear, Purple Turtle Roofing is going to be there to deliver exceptional roof repair for your property. Purple Turtle Roofing is the leading expert in local residential roofing solutions, specializing in providing unparalleled service and quality craftsmanship for all your roof replacement needs. Call Dustin Foley and his team today at 877-PT-ROOF-5 for your free roof inspection. That's 877-787-6635 to schedule your appointment with one of their qualified employees, and they'll come check out your roof and make sure you're prepared for any and all of life's storms. I do a lot of reposting of some of Purple Turtle Roofing on my Facebook page as well. If you want to find them, they got a great Facebook page. You can get familiar with Dustin Foley and their team. And look, call them. Free roof inspection. Visit them online, roofturtle.com. You can find out if you have any leaks, any storm damage to be aware of before you get into the fall and winter season. Appreciate Dustin Foley being a part of the program for sure. All right, so let's keep going. Get a little pause there for the podcast audience. We're going to insert some commercials, but we want to talk about Greg Byrne. Greg Byrne was up in Wisconsin, and look, could not have been a better experience with Greg Byrne up in Wisconsin. I saw him in a parking lot interacting with fans. You can check that at the BamaCentral YouTube channel. But Greg Byrne came through the press box saying hello to all the members who had made the trip and shaking hands and kissing babies, that sort of thing. We were the babies at that point, but no, it was great. And then you see Greg Byrne on Tuesday, going on social media with Kalen DeBoer, presenting him with a game ball commemorating his very first win. And there's not a whole lot to get into as far as juicy topics to get surrounding the game ball. His comment, look forward to here's the first commemorating your first win over Western Kentucky, first win as Alabama football coach over Western Kentucky. He said, I look forward to presenting you with the 100th win. And made me think, oh, great. Now something in that Kalen DeBoer office. I know the office discussion, there was a big to-do about the office remodeling before the season. Now something in that office is personalized to Kalen DeBoer with Alabama ties. Like, obviously, he's going to have mementos from his coaching career at other stops. And obviously, there's going to be mementos, Alabama memories and commemorative items from before Kalen DeBoer's tenure. But now you finally have something in the office where both Alabama and Kalen DeBoer kind of have something married together that he can show off to recruits, I guess, toss it across the room on official visits. But what I really wanted to get into was the question that I asked Kalen DeBoer on the SEC Coaches Teleconference today. Wednesdays are fun. You get to most Wednesdays, we're up at the facility talking to assistant coaches, and we miss the SEC Coaches Teleconference. It goes from 10 until noon, and they get all 16 coaches on there. Everybody gets a chance. You can log right in and ask any of the coaches a question. We heard Kirby Smart on today getting a lot of Alabama questions. Kalen DeBoer getting a lot of Georgia questions. So that is already started. But what I asked Kalen DeBoer, thankful to be a part of it today with the bye week and the schedule being a little bit different. I asked Coach DeBoer how much more the offense has, or I asked him how much of the offense he's been able to get into, how much of the offense he's been able to show through 3 games. Through 3 games, how much of the offense have you shown? I think is what I asked verbatim. And he got into concepts that I just thought shows maybe a little bit of its nature. He said the plays are endless. The concepts are endless. He said it's a really tricky question because, every year you marry the concepts, the personnel. So he said what we're doing here at Alabama is everything that we've done before. We've done all this in the past. He said, but, you got to go back to different versions of the past when I had a mobile quarterback, and we're utilizing some of those concepts as well. He said, but the concepts continue to grow and evolve based on the skill sets and based on the personnel. And so I think that everybody who has been concerned about the Alabama offense over 3 games, and there's reasons to be concerned. I mean, yeah, you look at the Sunshine Pumpers, and it's 85-yard touchdown to Ryan Williams, and it's 31-yard touchdown to Ryan Williams, and it's 40 whatever it was to Jeremy Bernard. You get big play after big play, you get big run after big run for Jam Miller touchdown. Like, there's great things going on with this Alabama offense, but if you're looking under the hood, there's some concerning things as well. There's some continuity issues. There are some continuity issues. There are some questions on sustainability and what happens in the red zone against a great team. Can you spam the Jalen Milroe sweep until the athleticism basically takes over and the math takes over? I mean, goodness gracious, I might be able to tackle Jalen Milroe 1 time, but you call it 4 times, then by goodness, he's getting past me. I'll promise you that. So there's questions about the sustainability, but Kalen DeBoer today really, in my opinion, might have put those to bed to a small degree, saying, oh, the concepts are endless, the plays are endless. What I think you've seen so far is kind of, all right, we know we've done this with the mobile quarterback so far, so let's see how it works. Oh, when we were at Sioux Falls and we had a mobile quarterback, we know we've run these concepts, and let's see how it works. Oh, and we know when we had Michael Penix and he liked to get the ball down the field, throwing deep balls, these concepts worked. And so we're marrying these together, and we're starting to figure out what we can use. And, have we had any running backs like Jam Miller? Have we had any running backs like Justice Haynes? Have we ever had an offensive line that's with the potential to be as dominant as this offensive line? I would say these questions are still getting answered through the season. And so what you've seen so far is, well, Western Kentucky sure can't handle these base concepts. Boom, big play, touchdown. It was interesting to me. You saw a few different offensive wrinkles this past weekend against Wisconsin, and I think you will continue to see offensive wrinkles. And yes, Jalen Milroe still has room to grow as a quarterback, still has room to grow as a passer. He still can improve as an intermediate passer. He absolutely can improve on maybe adjustments past the first look. I don't want to say first read because we've seen him come off his first read a couple of times this year, but I think that there is there's an aspect of Jalen Milroe's game is when he's getting what he's expecting to get. Oh, I can move from 1 to 2 to 3 and work my way through progression when the defense is giving me what I thought they were giving me. When the concept is working out post-snap like I thought it was. There's growth in Jalen Milroe's game, but I think that this Alabama offense, the sky, I mean, it's endless. The possibilities are endless. I know you saw Tennessee, they put up, 77 points against Kent State, and who cares? It's Kent State, whoop-de-doo. And you've seen Ole Miss putting up 73 against Old Dominion or whoever, Furman or whoever, and they're playing Georgia Southern this week. Good job, Ole Miss. Both these programs, been blowing the doors off their opponents. They both have over 100 strength of schedule for the first 3 weeks, right? Obviously, their schedules are going to get harder as they go along. But through the first 3 weeks, both Ole Miss and Tennessee are in the hundreds in strength of schedule. And so we're all oohing and awing over the points that they're scoring. But I think this Alabama offense can score just as many points. I think that there's nothing. The only thing stopping this Alabama offense will be turnovers and will be Nick Sheridan. And I think Nick Sheridan has done a job, about an A. I really didn't love the red zone play calling this past week against Wisconsin, but I also think that some of that was, hey, Coach DeBoer says these are the 4 cards that I'm giving this week because we want to keep some things back. We want to hold some things back for some of these larger games against Georgia, against Tennessee, against Missouri. We want to hold some things back. I think he said, you know what, this is all you need this week. This is what you get to have. And that might be why the red zone play calling was limited, left a little to be desired, left a lot to be desired, I'll be honest, but successful nonetheless. So this Alabama offense, the sky's the limit. You still got a lot of room to grow on the defensive side of the ball, and we'll get into that as we continue on in the week. I think I might have a guest on in the near future to talk about how Alabama's done over the last couple of weeks before we get into this Georgia matchup next week. Before we get out of here, I've got one more topic for you, and it's an NFL topic. It's about Tua Tagovailoa, and it's about Bryce Young. Look, I know both those guys, you say those names, they elicit emotions in the Alabama fan base. Before we get into them, though, let's tell you about Druid City Music Hall. Druid City Music Hall is the premier place for live music on the Strip. They have no shows this week, which is unusual. It's the first week. It's the first week of the fall semester that they have no shows. Next Friday, Gavin Adcock is going to be performing with Vincent Mason. They've got great artists. They've got Josiah Queen is going to be on Thursday, October 3rd. Quarters of Change, Friday, October 4th. Oh, my man, Red Farron on Wednesday, October 9th. Get out to see Red Farron. If you like Morgan Wallen, a little Morgan Wallen light, it's Red Farron is the man for you on Wednesday, October the 9th. So we appreciate Druid City Music Hall for sponsoring us. Check out their entire lineup at druidcitymusichall.com/shows. So let's talk Tua. Let's talk Bryce Young. Oh, my gosh, my baby boy Bryce Young. I love you so much. I've always been a fan of Bryce Young. As far as a quarterback lover, someone who loves good quarterback play, Bryce Young was a wizard at the University of Alabama, an absolute wizard. Obviously, winning a Heisman Trophy and taking Alabama to the 2021 National Championship game, coming up just short to the Georgia Bulldogs. But really, what a career here at the Capstone. He goes to Carolina, drafted number 1 overall. And okay, if you guys know me, you can see the Bears hats in the background. Obviously, the Bears benefited greatly from their trade with Carolina. They wanted Bryce Young real bad. The Bears didn't. This, that, and the other. Got a big old haul. I know, it's worked out for my franchise. You got Caleb Williams. Things have worked out. This is not about that. It's about Bryce Young. Goodness gracious. He gets put on the bench today, and you really yesterday, and you see him coming out of practice today, and there's fans, Bryce, hollering at him, trying to pick him up, and really trying to pick him up. There's a guy asking for autographs, and Bryce goes over there, and like a dog with his head between his tail, really. Just ho-hum, and he signs his stuff, and the fan says, "Oh, keep your head up, Bryce." Just absolutely disgusting what the Panthers have done to Bryce Young. Now, has Bryce been good? Let's all look ourselves in the mirror and say it together. No, Bryce Young has not been a good NFL quarterback. Bryce Young has not done things. Bryce Young has done things that would suggest that, oh, maybe he's just a college quarterback. His turnover ratio, the points that they're scoring or lack thereof, leaves a lot to be desired. And look, if you know me, you know that I really, really, really got after Mac Jones in New England because I thought that he was pretty overrated as a player based on the offense that he played with here at Alabama. Look, he played with the best offense that's ever played here at the Capstone. Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Najee Harris, Joe Moore winning offensive line. It was just incredible. He goes up to New England. It doesn't work out for him. Now he's with Jacksonville, and I think he's in a good little spot to maybe cook a little bit, marinate a little bit, and see if he can't earn a starting job. But Bryce Young, they have done him so wrong. Adam Thielen, a rookie year. Adam Thielen is your wide receiver 1. Deontay Johnson this year is your wide receiver 1. We're going to draft Jonathan Mingo from Ole Miss to be, this is your rookie target to gain some chemistry with. I mean, goodness gracious. The Panthers organization has been an absolute dumpster fire for how long? Since Luke Kuechly retired? Longer? Maybe? Just been terrible. Obviously, Cam Newton covering a lot of sins there at the quarterback position. But post Cam Newton, the Panthers have been just in the desert as a franchise, making lots of bad decisions. And so, yeah, Bryce Young, you go to the bench because you played bad, but the circumstances just weren't good. I'll just say it. I think that Bryce is going to get another shot somewhere. But, Bryce, you're going to have to grind, my man. You're going to have to grind in a place where you may be the second option. I don't know, a place like New York, Giants, Maybe a place where wait till Aaron Rodgers retires. So who else is going to be quarterback needy in the very near future? New Orleans, obviously, they're happy with Derek Carr, what he did this past weekend, beating up on the Dallas Cowboys, but they're going to need an answer after him. In Las Vegas, the Raiders definitely going to need a quarterback. There's going to be options for Bryce Young to get to land in, but he's going to have to put in a lot of work. And really, I wonder if the height and the size, the weight was just too much for him to overcome. Giving you a little bit of a break, Bryce, with the personnel and the circumstances you're around, but you're not totally absolved of blame. You haven't really played well yourself, and I wonder if some physical deficiency stepping into the National Football League just are too much to overcome for Bryce Young. Now let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa before we get out of here, as my dog is ready to go potty. Tua Tagovailoa goes on to IR on Tuesday, midday Tuesday, and that is going to sit him on the bench for at least 4 weeks while they figure out what he's going to do with his head injury. And look, they're going to start Skylar Thompson, and who cares? But it's going to hurt the fantasy value for your boy Jalen Waddle for sure. But it's all about Tua and the head injury. What do you think he should do? And how did last Thursday make you feel watching him do the fencing position for the second time in the NFL, and fourth head injury since 2019? Tua goes on IR. The Dolphins have 3 games and a bye for the next 4 weeks. So they're going to be missing 3 games. And so the next chance that he gets to come back is going to be middle of October, I think is what it is. And we'll see. Look, he has said, the agent has said, they have his camp has said, we have no plans to retire. We want to recover. We want to obviously give this head injury as much time as it needs to recover. But we don't want to retire. We have no plans to retire. And so I'm encouraged by that. And look, I don't want to be the ones. I'm not ever going to be the one to say, oh, Tua should retire. Oh, he should get out of here. He should hang it up. Because I'm not in his shoes. Look, I was a very, very average football player, high school football player, right? I was a very average high school football player, and I wanted to play till the last snap that I could. Because I knew that, okay, after high school, my opportunities were going to be pretty limited to nothing. And so, look, I maybe took a few risks with my knee that I maybe shouldn't have taken. Now, granted, it's worked out for me in the long run, and a knee is not a head, and so it's a bit different there with your brain and your consciousness and your thoughts, Tua. But I'm not going to be the one to sit here and say that he should retire. I think that he needs to make that decision with his doctors and with his wife, with his doctors and his parents, and then, include the Dolphins in that after those conversations happen. So, Tua, I am happy that you're going on IR. And I'm encouraged. I'm happy selfishly that you're not retiring. Give it the time you need. Give it the time you need to recover. If it's longer than the 4-week IR, take longer. Obviously, the Dolphins are going to want you back as soon as possible because Skylar Thompson just not Tua Tagovailoa. But take all the time that you need before you get back into action. Let's finish the program with a huge topic that I don't really want to get into too much because this is a sports show, and I don't really want to be a political show because the politics on both sides of the aisle make me angry. But just because it's a sports show and because this is a place where the politics and sports collide, you all have seen it. If you're coming to the Georgia game, the Alabama-Georgia game, you need to be in Tuscaloosa at 7 a.m., and you need to be in Bryant-Denny Stadium as soon as the gates open. Look, it's a big game anyway, so why not? But you need to be in Bryant-Denny Stadium as soon as the gates open, or in line as soon as the gates open, because former President Donald Trump has confirmed his plans a couple hours ago, confirmed his plans. It was rumors on Monday. It was whispers a little more on Tuesday, and it has been confirmed today, Wednesday. Former President Donald Trump will be at the Alabama-Georgia game. And I don't really comment. I'm not going to comment on whether that's a great or a bad thing, a good or bad thing. Great. It doesn't matter. It really does not matter. What it matters, what it affects is the security is going to be super, super high. It's going to take you a long time to get into Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's going to take me a long time to get into Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's going to be a mess because Obviously, if you're plugged in at all, it's kind of a dangerous time. It's been a politically volatile time. Obviously, elections coming up. It's been a very spicy time on both sides of the aisle. And really just encourage you to make your plans. That's all I really want to do with this topic is to, if you haven't heard it, if you've been living under a rock, I encourage you to make your plans to be in Bryant-Denny Stadium as early as possible on Saturday. Kickoff is at 6:30. I bet you they're going to open the gates at 3:30. At 3, you want to be there. I know, look, tailgating on the quad, it is a blast. Enjoying the fan zone outside Bryant-Denny Stadium, it is a blast. It's a lot of fun to soak it up on the strip, right? You got all kinds of great atmospheres, all kinds of great environments and venues to enjoy outside of the game. But if you want to see this game, and if you want to make a positive impact on the Alabama side of things, which I would hope that you would want to do as the home crowd, you're going to want to be there as early as possible because the security is going to be a nightmare. It's going to be super, super high, as it should be. Look, it's the last place you want to have any sort of, golly, if I had to contaminate my Alabama-Georgia coverage with some sort of political violence, that would make me so ill. That would make me so ill, no matter who it's against. Oh, so it's the last place you want to have any sort of incident. I want to focus on the game. I want to enjoy the game. If former President Donald Trump is up in a box and everybody chants USA, 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 that's not going to bother me a bit. Who cares? Roll Tide. Just keep it going. But I say all this to you to prepare yourself. Get into Bryant-Denny Stadium as early as possible because it is going to be a madhouse. It's going to be very, 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 very difficult to get into Bryant-Denny Stadium in a timely fashion. So if you're waiting till 6 o'clock, don't. If you're waiting till 6 o'clock, look, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. If you want to wait till 6 o'clock, just be ready to miss a drive or 2 or 3. Because I have no idea how stringent it's going to be, and I would expect it to be very stringent. I was out of town. The last time that former President Donald Trump was here. He was obviously elected at that point. He was president at that point for the Alabama-LSU game in 2019, and all I heard was, oh my gosh, Joe, the security and how long. I mean, you had people in the student section hours ahead of time because of just how much different it made the logistics. And so make sure that is a part of your plans next Saturday. I know that the tailgate's a lot of fun, but maybe just save you some of the money on the tailgate and buy you a Denny dog or two as you're waiting and enjoying warm-ups for that huge matchup. It's going to do it for our program today. We're going to get out of here. We want to thank everybody who's watched us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We really want to thank everybody who's watched us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel. Subscribe to the BamaCentral YouTube channel at BamaCentral. Subscribe to us on my own social media machines at Joe Gaither 6. Whatever social media machine you like, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all of them, TikTok, they're all the same at Joe Gaither 6. On your favorite social media machines. We'll get out of here for the day, and we'll be back to continue talking Alabama football right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. We want to thank Derek Daniel for sponsoring the program. As we get out of here, you can call him today for all your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel and State Farm is there.